Introduction to Good Manufacturing Practice (GMP). Good Manufacturing Practice (GMP) were developed to assist the food industry in meeting higher food production standards in order to meet food safety requirements and consumer needs. These guidelines provide guidance on the key elements of GMP to the food industry, from the acceptance of raw materials to products distribution. The implementation of these guidelines also creates uniformity in Good Manufacturing Practices (GMP) for the food industry. The objectives of GMP is to inform food industry about GMP elements, provide guidance to the food industry on the basics of hygiene practices and sanitation requirements to ensure safe food production, and helping the food industry to achieve GMP certification. For the scope, these guidelines apply to all types of food industries in Malaysia, including the areas of processing, packaging, storage, warehousing, and distribution. Buildings and facilities establishments. 5.1 Locations. Potential sources of contamination need to be considered when deciding where food premises should be located to protect food from contamination and accessibility. In particular, food premises should be located away from environmentally polluted areas and industrial activities that present a serious threat to food contamination, and one of them are areas that are often attacked by pests. And a few more. 5.2 Premises. Food premises need to be designed and constructed in order to control the risk of contamination. Premises need to be designed in accordance with the purpose of its use, such as the layout of the premises should allow for good process flow, good hygiene and safety practices. 5.3 Facilities. The first one is lighting. Natural or artificial lighting must be provided to operate in clean conditions. Second, ventilation. Adequate ventilation should be provided to prevent excessive heat, condensation, dirt, smoke, and vapors to remove polluted air and odors. The third is water supply. A safe and adequate supply of water, potable water, with storage, distribution, and temperature control facilities should be provided where appropriate. Fourth, storage. Storage facilities for food products, ingredients, and non-food chemicals such as cleaning materials, lubricants, and fuels should be provided. And the last one is sanitation facilities. Sanitary facilities for employees should be adequate and usable in the operating area, well designed and maintained at all times. 5.4 Equipment and hardware. The equipment and hardware used during processing must have an appropriate design. For food contact equipment and utensils, cleaning and sanitary agents should be made of non-reactive and corrosive materials, as well as easy to clean and sanitize. And the last one is all equipment should be placed where it is easy to use for the purpose of maintenance and cleaning of equipment, as well as nearby spaces.
Control of operation, practice and procedure. First, we go to the need of raw material and food additives. Written specification for all raw materials and packaging materials need to comply to national legislation. Food additives need to be high quality and must be handled with the same way as food raw material. Acceptance and storage of raw material. Acceptance of raw material need to be managed and moved to the production and storage sections carefully to prevent damage and contamination of raw material. Acceptance date and raw material source need to be recorded and labeled. In and out of stock need to use rotation system, first in, first out. Main aspects of processing control system. Time and temperature need to be controlled to ensure the food safety and quality. The quantity of food additive added into food must follow national legislation and must be as minimum as possible, but in the same time give the desired effect to the food. Packaging operation. Packaging material should consist of non-toxic materials. Such materials should be checked before use to detect any damage to avoid potential food contamination incidents. Repackaged products should be stored at optimal storage conditions, such as A. Time and temperature need to be controlled or monitored to minimize the damage of the product. B. Storage facilities and equipment should always be maintained to ensure optimal operation. C. Packaged products need to be placed and arranged so that it will not contact with the floor and walls. Verification of final product safety. Samples of the final product should be taken randomly and periodically for analysis to verify its compliance with the national legislation.
Premises and equipment must be in good condition and maintained to facilitate all sanitation procedures, functions as prescribed, and prevents food contamination. The cleaning maintenance program should be monitored, documented, and explained about area, equipment and hardware, responsibility for specific tasks, method and frequency, and monitoring methods. Buildings, fixtures, and other physical facilities must be in a clean and well-maintained condition to protect food and surfaces in contact with food or food packaging materials from contamination. Any structural changes, repairs, modification, and plumbing works must be carried out without delay. All equipment must be cleaned and maintained. Filters and filtering equipment should be easily removed for inspection, replacement, and cleaning purposes. The entire premises must be maintained so that it is clean, tidy and free from any collection of any irrelevant items. The cleaning process must ensure that there is no food residue and dirt that can contaminate the food. Cleaning can be done by separating or combining the use of physical or chemical methods or other methods that avoid the use of water. Chemicals used in cleaning shall be handled and used carefully, stored separately from food and in easily identifiable containers. Food-grade quality lubricants should be used. The cleaning and disinfection program should ensure that all parts of the building are properly cleaned. The program should be prepared if advised or after consultation with relevant experts. Pest control management must ensure that buildings should always be in good condition to prevent the entry of pests. Pits, drains, and areas where pests are likely to enter should be tightly closed. Food sources that have the potential to attract pests should always be kept in pest-proof container. Areas inside and outside the premises must always be clean. Waste should be stored in a covered pest-proof container. Food premises and the surrounding area should be constantly inspected. Pest attacks need to be dealt immediately. Treatment with chemical, physical, or biological should be carried out without posing a threat to the safety and suitability of food. Animals are not allowed to be in food processing premises. Waste materials and sewage waste management. Waste disposal must be done to prevent food contamination and must not cause any disturbance to the environment. Waste materials must not be collected in food handling areas, food storage and other workspace, and in environmental areas unless it is unavoidable. Sewage waste management. Sewage waste should be disposed by isolating contaminants. Liquid waste must be disposed to prevent contamination. All plumbing systems and liquid waste disposal and sewerage should be adequate to meet the height requirements. All networks should be watertight with adequate barriers and ventilation holes. Waste materials that stuck in the drainage system should always be cleaned and carried out every end of the working day.
Next, we have workers. 8.1 Personal hygiene. All food handlers shall undergo a medical examination annually by a registered medical officer and be vaccinated in accordance with the requirement of the latest regulation. Any wound and injury should be wrapped with suitable waterproof bandage where the food handler is allowed to continue work. Food handler must maintain a high level of personal hygiene and where necessary wear clean and appropriate protective clothing, headgear, gloves, masks, and shoes. Food handlers should wash their hands properly and use liquid soap instead of a container or sanitary ware and save water. At the beginning of food handling activity, after using toilet, after handling raw food or material contaminate, or after sneezing or coughing with unable to avoid.
In conclusion, GMP is a guideline in food industry about cleanliness and sanitation to ensure the safety of food. Actually, there is a lot of guidelines in GMP, but we can only share a few of them due to limitation of time. So, that's all from us. Thank you for your attention and take care.